Okay, this is a real question for everybody, okay? This is a real question for everybody. I'm curious what you guys think on this, okay? This is about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons podcast, okay? It's great for the media because, of course, they're going to get hot takes from Micah Parsons and things that they can stir up. Okay, we know that the media does not necessarily give any F's about being truthful or whatever, or trying to spin something to make something that's not there. With Shady McCoy and June Jones, basically saying that Dak Prescott um, is faking injury that literally has got his hamstring ripped off the bone, and so on, that they're going to take anything that Micah Parsons does and they're going to try and make it into something more than what it is. Be that as it may, be that as it may. Did you guys notice the shift in his show this week? I didn't watch the whole thing, but seeing the highlights of it. This week, no guest. Okay, because I think those are clowns. I love weed. Laugh out loud. Dwayne Sweeney banned the podcast. I'd rather Parsons be silent. So you think about the first podcast and stuff, and I think somebody said, "Hey, it'd be great for you to have Big Play Slay on." And here it is. You're injured, and you're yucking it up with Slay about laughing about how the Lions mollywopped us. And it's kind of like that. Kind of struck me the wrong way because it's like, I'm hurting about it's the day after we done got beat down bad and embarrassed at home, and here it is. You're hanging out with Big Plays. I know I'm old. And I'm from a different generation than what these guys are. But it bothered me. It bothered me a lot. So, okay, you did that for a couple of weeks, and then maybe somebody said, Micah, maybe it's not good for you to do podcasts, with Eagle players, with the Eagles doing good and us looking like ass. It's looking like you don't really care. So then he does the podcast with Diggs, right? Now we know Diggs got embarrassed in training camp, the year before when Dak ran past him and literally said, shut your bitch ass up. Now, we don't know if that was just a heat of a moment thing, or maybe that Diggs doesn't really like Dak Prescott. I don't know. But maybe it's one of those things where, like Seattle, the defense, Richard Sherman and crew, they blamed Russell Wilson for not winning that second Super Bowl. So they had it out and didn't like the offense. And just because you're on the same team doesn't mean that you like everybody. There are people that I played football with that I couldn't stand. So maybe there is a real thing with there. And then to go through and literally throw shade on the quarterback, right? That had to be a bad look. So this week, Micah's tone was definitely toned back, and it was just him. And on top of it, after the week before, y'all doing your top 10 list and not even mentioning your own quarterback, okay? This week, you saw Micah Parsons doing a top 5 most clutch quarterback list. And he started the list with Dak Prescott. Did anybody else get that? Did anybody else see that? The tone was different. He was more serious about it. He wasn't yuck, laugh. There was no other players there with him. And he ended up putting Dak Prescott in his top 5 list, where the week before, he didn't put him in his top 10. So my question is here, and this is where you start looking at the pieces where there were some rumors that he might get traded. There were rumors before the trade deadline that you heard that, the Cowboys, maybe Micah would want to be traded, because that's where I was kind of like, bro, the stuff you're doing is not, team friendly. This is not helping you create camaraderie with your teammates. This is not helping you win games. This is solely about you. And, like June Jones and, Stephen A. Smith and, Skip Bayless, the way you get big out there is trashing other people, trashing the Cowboys. And in a way, that's what that whole podcast was. So I'm curious if somebody got to Micah Parsons and said, bro, you got to tone this down. This is not gelling right here. If you want to get your contract with the Cowboys, if you want to be a Dallas Cowboy, this shit's not working the same way. We can't do this because it was totally different than what it was before. Did anybody else feel that? That's my question to you. Did you guys feel that? It's not helping us win games. Dwayne Sweeney, it is absolutely not. $2 trillion for life. I would have traded. Yeah, but here's the problem with us trading him. Okay, here's the thing. We traded Amari Cooper for a 5th-round draft pick, y'all. A 5th. The Eagles paid a number 1 for A.J. Brown the same year. Okay? The same year. We traded him for a 5th. Eagles turn around and pay a 1 for A.J. Brown. And you look at what we paid for Trey Lance. Trey Lance, we gave up a 4. Nobody was offering higher than a 6 for Trey Lance. Nobody was going to give. There's game time. I'm coming for you, game time. I'm coming. Wait, hold it. Pause. I'll be there, game time. I'll be there. I'm awake. Are you? Yo, Mark. Okay, so game time. I'm told that Playmakers has a podcast room. Okay, that they have a podcast room, and I sent a message to Dan Salio to try and get a brother hooked up with Michael Irvin on that. So I sent an email, and I also text the liar Dan Salio. Let's see if Dan Salio actually texts. Oh, it's on that phone. Text me back on that one. The NFL and NBA should make in-season podcasts a conflict of interest and ban them, assuming that is legal. Off-season is fine. Wait for you, Mark. Parsons wants to be traded to the Eagles, so he. Okay. Big drop. Are you awake? You better ignore me. Smiley face. Okay. Parsons is not in the game anymore. Where is Person in the last playoff game? Okay. All right, so that's just my question that I have. It seemed like Micah Parsons changed his tone completely. Okay. Did you ask about the podcast room game time? So Dak has had 2 bad injuries on that leg this offseason. Air cast to keep him injured, that leg. He's getting into his 30s. Yeah, unfortunately, Walker Wade, he's getting Tony Romo-esque where you're older and you can't take the beating like you used to. I mean, Tony Romo, I know you think that if we had Tony Romo starting in 2016, that we win the Super Bowl. But Tony Romo got injured twice in 2015 and immediately in the first game back in preseason got hurt again. So, you're getting fragile. This is where the Cowboys have to protect their investment. This is where the Cowboys have to protect their investment. And by doing so, they need to be able to run the football like most teams do, and they need to get the offensive line together, or else we're going to be facing this. It's going to be, a slow crawl out of the NFL. You know what I'm saying?